Hey y'all, it's been a hot minute. Life's been pretty busy for me lately. I got engaged, so that's pretty cool. There was something though that I want to just take a little bit of time to talk about. And that's that I got to partake in the VIP demo for Anthem, which is the new game coming from BioWare, which is of course owned by EA. It's a AAA game. And I'm not naive. We're definitely in a landscape where the nature of AAA games has changed a lot. Back in the day, and by the day I mean really just the last console generation, AAA games had a much better reputation, I would say, and that kind of faded out maybe towards the end of the generation. But when games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 or Battlefield Bad Company 2 or Skyrim came out and you had these big companies backing them, you got what was essentially like the blockbuster equivalent of a video game, You had these big budgets going into it. They would look nice, but they would also play nice. They'd be innovative. I remember Modern Warfare 2 in particular just like blew me away when I was in middle school. But the landscape has kind of changed, as I said. Now, with the inclusion of not just microtransactions, but just sort of the emphasis of presentation over innovative gameplay, we have these AAA games that come out feeling less than complete. The whole Fallout 76 fiasco especially has kind of shown that not even trusted studios like Bethesda are even delivering in the same capacity that they used to be able to. And so, with all that being said, I think that there's a healthy amount of skepticism towards these big games that are coming out, Anthem included in all of that. Anthem is a game that I have been following since its announcement, just really like trying to stay not involved, but just staying up to date on all the news and development updates and such. And it's a game that I have hope for. I'm a big fan of looter shooter type games, for one thing. I think BioWare is a company that, despite the Mass Effect Andromeda fiasco, has brought out a lot of truly excellent games. And I also think that, with games like Titanfall 2, we can't entirely just discount everything that comes out of EA. There are still good games that can come out of that developer. Certainly there have been a lot in the past. So I don't think that it's necessarily a good idea to completely discount something just because it's coming out of a AAA publisher that maybe has a bad reputation. The demo, of course, got off to a little bit of a rocky start, but especially today, the servers were pretty smoothed out, and I got to experience a lot of the game as it was intended to be played, and it's got me hopeful. I'm not going to say that it's going to be the most perfect launch ever. I mean, we just don't know, but the gameplay's there, the graphics are there, the sound's there. To me, it's taking me back more to the earlier days of AAA budgeted games, where that budget is being put to good use to create something that just feels good to play and that is just generally a good game. We don't know for sure, of course. Like I said, the servers had some problems and yada, yada, yada. There's definitely some bugs there that need to be worked out, but it's definitely got the potential. We won't know for sure until it drops, but, we just don't know. The thing that I find concerning, though, is I read more than a few comments that have said something along the lines of, it's EA, and I don't care if it's good, I want it to fail. That's just so bitter and toxic. Why would you want something that people have spent years of their lives working on at this point to fail? Why would you want a game to be bad just because of the studio behind it? I mean, it's so immature and it's so toxic, and I'm so worried because I feel like there's almost just this preemptive backlash, if that makes sense, You see this big, hyped up AAA game coming out, and the whole, I see all these people on YouTube already preemptively reacting to it and wanting it to fail. As soon as the servers had issues right out of the gate, people were just like, see, I told you, because that's what they wanted, and that's just so not cool. I mean, why would you want Anthem to be bad? If anything, I've been pretty impressed with both BioWare and EA's transparency, mostly BioWare's transparency over Anthem since they've like really started giving us updates. You know, they've showed hours of footage. They've talked about the way that microtransactions are going to be implemented. And they've been honest about things. Even when there were server issues, they worked through it, and like I said, it was running pretty smoothly today. So and they even gave us like VIP players like cosmetics for when the game comes out, and unlocked all the javelins in the demo to compensate for a lot of the server issues that were prevalent when it first launched this weekend. And I haven't had an experience yet with Anthem where I feel like I'm being swindled or like the developers are being dishonest with me. To me, I don't see the Battlefront 2, you know? I don't really see the microtransactions that are going to make the game pay to win. I don't see a lack of depth in gameplay. It's just, it doesn't seem like that. If anything, I have every reason to be hopeful for Anthem. The internet server issue is definitely a big one. It's something that they need to be prepared for when the game launches. But I just don't understand why, because it has an EA label, you'd want the game to fail. I don't get it. Especially because, like I said, back in the day, there were some really good AAA games, and I'm kind of hoping that with all these recent fiascos we have, those big publishers will start trying to make good games again. You know, I think that they can. I think that there's no reason why they can't, and I think that if anything, the success of indie games and games that generally have respected the customer should have shown them at this point that you put out a quality game and people are going to eat it up. So I don't know, guys. Believe me, I've been burned by Activision and EA and all that too, but I also am a believer in the capacity to change, and I think that Anthem looks promising. So yeah, that's all I really had to say today. Peace out, y'all.